Good morning guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is early morning on Monday morning, and I have just finished picking some wedding flowers that are being collected this evening ready for a wedding on Wednesday. And I know you're all dying to see the flower field because I've not shown you it in a while, so I just wanted to update you on what's going on in the flower fields this July. We're heading towards the end of July now. And I'm not going to lie, things aren't as gorgeous as they normally are. We had lots of problems with slugs and with drought and heavy rain and all sorts of any kind of problem that could have been thrown at the flowers this year. They had it. So things aren't looking amazing, which is a little bit of a shame, but we are still managing to produce quite a few flowers, which is a good thing. So I'm selling plenty of flowers and they're looking good. So in this field, this is the front field, this is where I'm trying to create a bit of more of a perennial area. So this is why the bed behind me is looking a little bit empty, because I've planted a lot of baby perennials in here, so they're all just taking their time to mature, and I'm not really expecting many flowers from them until next year. But I will go into more detail about what I've planted in a second. So up here we have Greek cress, and as you can see I've harvested most of that. That actually needs cutting and bringing in to dry, because as you can see it's naturally dried itself on the plant. One of the things that I'm a bit disappointed with this year is the dahlias. So as you can see, the dahlias down here are looking a bit short at the moment, so I'm hoping that they're going to bulk up soon. Usually we start getting dahlia flowers in July and August, so I'm really hoping that they're going to bulk up soon. I am going to give them a good feed shortly, just to give them a little bit of a boost. And if you didn't know already, I left all of my dahlias in the ground this year, which was kind of successful, but a lot of them did die, and I was expecting to fill up a lot more of this field with dahlias. So next year I'm going to have to buy a lot more tubers or plants to get my stock of dahlias back again, because they are my favourite flower on the farm, I have to say. And then behind me here we have toad flax, and then there's some kind of achillea at the back, which is really nice. I got that from a friend's flower farm last year. The toad flax has been great, but it has been dying back a little bit, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's because we've had some dry hot weather recently. I'm not really sure, but I'd like to sow more of that because I've really enjoyed using it, and I think that there are more colours that I can sow as well, so I'm definitely going to go for a few more of those. And then here I have two beds of grasses which have just started to produce stems that are cuttable, and they've been really good. I sowed a mixed packet of grasses, and they've produced some really nice things, including this lime millet, which has been a real hit on my Instagram. I posted a picture of it on my stories the other day, and absolutely loads of people wanted to know what it was. So I'm definitely going to try and find some straight packets of that ready to sow for next year, because that has been really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that dries as well. And then yeah, we've got lots of different types of millet, bunny tails, and all sorts of like panicum grass and things like that. And then here I've planted out quite a few perennials. I've got some salvia, scleria. I did sow a lot more of this, but the slugs got to it, I think. So unfortunately there's only a small patch of that. And then I have planted some Astrantia and Veronica. that is something that I've always wanted a lot more of, but I've never got around to buying the plants, and I've always tried to sow the seeds, but it hasn't germinated for me. Apologies about the dogs barking in the background. And then I have a couple of different types of Dusty Miller. I can't remember exactly the variety names, but I will pop those in on the video just so that you know. One of them is that nice one that has the nice greyish fluffy foliage with the bright pink flowers on. So there's lots of things that I'm trying here that I haven't grown before, which I'm really excited about, because the perennials have been so handy this year. I've never really had a good stock of perennials before, but the ones that I have put in last year have been really good, so I'm hoping to grow a lot more of them. They're a bit more low maintenance as well, because as with the annuals, obviously you have to sow them all the time, plant them out all the time, and then you have to pull them up at the end of the season. But with perennials they're a little bit more low maintenance. And then here we have Craspedia. I planted this out really late after it had been in the seed tray for quite a long time, so I'm really not sure whether this is going to produce anything this year, but we will see. And then we have another pretty sad looking bed of dahlias, and there's a little bit of a patch in the middle there where we don't have anything growing. Here I've just decided to plant out some chrysanthemums, because I was going to plant them in the polytunnel, but I will explain later the issue that I'm having with the polytunnel and what my plans are for the future of that. And then I have planted a few artichokes just in the front section there. And here we have another bed of dahlias, also looking a little bit stunted, but hopefully it'll catch up. And then another bed here, that one's looking a little bit better. And then here we have the lamb's ear, so there's a bed of that, and then at the end there's a little bit of Lysimachia that I managed to start off from seed. This one is empty. I'm hoping to go to a garden centre in a couple of weeks and pick up a load of perennials, so that I have a couple of empty beds that are reserved for new perennials. Here there's some more lamb's ear and some more Lysimachia, some more geums and penstemons. Penstemons have been good, but the petals, the white petals, did start going a bit browny and I wasn't able to pick them, so they need cutting back, and we'll see if they reflower. Here's another empty bed reserved for new perennials. And then here, this is Verbena hastata. I'm really liking that, but I haven't picked much of it yet because I'm not really sure what stage we have to pick it at. And then here we have some more shrubs down there. In the centre of the field here we have raspberry canes, which are really handy for snacking on and for foliage for bouquets. And this bed behind me, where I've pulled the weed membrane back a little bit, I was going to rotivate this and put a summer cover crop in. However, the rotavator broke down on me, so Rob's ordered some new parts for it which haven't come yet. And it's become absolutely bone dry to the point where I don't even think I could get the rotavator through it anyway. So I need to come up with a solution for that, because literally the weeds can't even survive in that, because it just looks so it just looks desolate. So we need to come up with a solution for that. I think maybe when it starts raining a little bit and the soil gets a little bit more moisture in it, I might be able to rotivate it and get that cover crop sown before it's too late. And then I have lots of Achillea behind me. I've got lots of pink and white. I would like to get some more of more pastel-y shades like terracotta colours, so I'm definitely going to pull out a few of the excess pink flowers and put some more terracotta and pastel-y shades in. Behind me here we have ox-eye daisies. I've just trimmed all of these back because they produce a lot of flowers, too many for me to actually use myself, but hopefully now that it's cut back it can flower again. Then we have the artichokes, which are looking really cool. I've cut a few of these to dry, so we'll see. I might cut these ones that are starting to go to flower now and dry them up in the workshop and see how they look. Then here I have this lovely sea lavender, which is just starting to come to flower. It's really, really lovely. and I'll be using that in probably in some bridal buckets and some bridal flowers, because it's quite gypsophila like, but with a little purple tinge to it. So that is the front field. As you can see, I've been putting a few perennials in, so things are looking okay, but I'm hoping that the dahlias bulk up soon, because I really would love to have lots of dahlias this year, because they are my favourite, like I said. So this morning I've been picking lots of flowers for a wedding, like I said, so I'm just in the workshop checking on the flowers, and we will head over to the back flower field in a second and have a look what's going on there. So I know that I haven't shown you around the workshop recently, since it's sort of been finished off, so I will post a separate video with a tour of the workshop, just so that you can see how it's working and what we've got going on in here. So let's head over to the other flower field. Here are the alpaca boys having a little chill this morning, and I had them sheared the other week, and I did a few clips of them being sheared, so I thought I would just put them in here just to show you what the process is like. It looks a little bit mean, but it's the best way to shear them, because they it's just so much quicker to restrain them the way that they do, and it's less stressful for the alpacas. So what they do is they tie the alpacas front feet and back feet to a fence, and then the guy here tied them to his car, and then they stretch their legs out so that they can easily access all the areas of their body, and they can turn them this way and that, and then whilst he's here, he checks their teeth and does their feet as well. And I think the boys really appreciated getting their fleeces off, because they had some heavy fleece on them, and it's been really hot in the last couple of days, so they feel a lot better for that. And I'm still trying to find a way to use the fleece. I've made a couple of inquiries about having the fleece processed into wool, but I'm not sure, I haven't had any responses back from anybody yet, so I might have to have a little more of make another couple of inquiries, just to see how much it's going to cost to have the wool processed, and to see whether it would be profitable or not. So here we are in the back flower field, and as you can see, I've still got an empty bed here, but most of the rest of the field is full, apart from where we've had rabbit and slug attack. So let's show you the polytunnel first, and I'll tell you what's going on in there. So I started clearing out the polytunnel last week, because the weeds have absolutely taken over in here, like they do every year. I always think that I've got off to a good spring, and things are looking good, and then suddenly I blink and there's millions of weeds in here, and I can't keep on top of them all. So I cleared out this side of the polytunnel, and also behind this marjoram and oregano here, and also this section here to about halfway, and then I haven't got any further just yet. And what I've still got in here that I'm cutting from is this oregano and marjoram, and the Dorcas at the back, and then there's also some asparagus that I've been cutting as well. So the main problem in here is there's just an abundance of weed seeds, and every time I plant a crop in here and start watering, the weed seeds just go for it, and they love being in here with the warmth and everything. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting loads of rolls of corrugated cardboard down, like I did do in the field bed next to me here, and then just absolutely smothering it with as much compost as I can put in. And that's the only way that I can think that I'm going to be able to control the problem, is to just bury it within absolutely tons and tons and inches of soil to try and just smother all of those weed seeds. I'm not sure whether it's going to work. If anybody's got any experience of doing that, then just let me know. So yeah, and the soil has also always been really poor in here. So the problem is that the compost is very hard to get hold of at the moment. So when I called up, I think back in April, it said there was a 4-month wait. So I'm hoping that within the next month or two I can get some compost delivered and I can start mulching all of the beds that were desperate to be mulched this year that didn't get done. So that is my plan for this polytunnel. I'm not sure whether it's going to work, but it's just not sustainable using it the way that I do at the moment. So basically I sowed a lot of plants to go in here. I sowed stocks, zinnias, phlox, and none of them got planted in here just because I couldn't keep on top of the weeds, which is a real shame because I keep seeing pictures of all of these lovely zinnias and phlox and things on Instagram, and I really wish I had my own, but I don't. So hopefully next year we can start using the polytunnel all year round, because at the moment I plant my ranunculus in here and then that's when the weeds start taking over and I can't keep on top of it. So hopefully I can start using it all year round from next year onwards. And then out here I have my cold frames where I sowed quite a few biennials the other week. However, it has been really hot, so we haven't had great germination on it. I was going to put some shade netting over the top because I find that the seeds germinate in the areas where it does get a little bit more shade. So I was going to do that, didn't get time, but because of the poor germination I might have a go at sowing a few more and then putting some shade over them and seeing whether they germinate a little bit easier. And then here we have the main field. This bed here was very bad with thistles, and I was going to plant another crop of sunflowers and artichokes and possibly some delphiniums in here, but I haven't got round to that because of the issues with the weather and everything like that, and with the ground being so hard. So that has been a shame. And then here we have the full bed of sunflowers. This has been a little bit disappointing this year because, as you can see behind me, I've got teddy bear sunflowers which aren't even tall enough for the vase, which is a little bit of a shame. And then we have, they just haven't branched very much this year, so we've literally had a couple of stems or maybe even just one stem per branch, per plant, which has been a little bit frustrating despite pinching them. So I think this one is Pro Cut Plum. It is absolutely gorgeous, but that is only a one stem per plant variety anyway. And then back here I planted some snapdragons which are looking really puny. These were sown back in February and they haven't really grown a lot, but they've started to flower now, and these are suitable for cutting for bouquets. They've got a good stem length on them, which I'm grateful for. And just in front of the snapdragons we have Salvia farnacea, which is a white colour, and there's a couple of stems on it now, but they're not really tall enough to pick, so I'm hoping if we get some good rain and that's going to bulk up. I think it's an annual, I don't think it's a perennial, but I'll have to check on that, but that's quite nice. And then here we have the Helichrysum, and I'm really loving this pomegranate colour that I have sown this year. I think it's a really nice deep purpley red colour, and that's definitely going to be one that's going in lots of bunches this year. They're all quite closed up this morning just because of the morning dew. When the sun comes out or when it gets a bit warmer later, they will open up again. And then here we have lots of statice, lots of nice colours. We've got yellow, blue, pink, purple, and a nice apricot salmon colour as well, which is really nice. And then behind me here we have absolutely tons of self-seeded auroch in between the larkspur bed. So this was originally meant to be a larkspur bed, but we had lots of problems with slugs. If you've watched my previous videos, you will know how frustrated I was with slugs this year. So they've sort of filled in the gaps, and they're sort of propping up the larkspur as well. So Got lots of nice colours of larkspur, lots of pink, dark purple, and then we've got the nice lavender colours as well, which have been really lovely so far this season. And let me see if I can get through to the next row. So behind me here we have a lot of Cyanoglossom, and I didn't even get a chance to pick this before it's gone to seed, so I'm going to have to pull all of that up and replace it with something else. And then behind it, this end of the bed is a little bit more sparse compared to the front. I think that's because it sort of gets quite boggy at this end of the field in winter. So when I first planted these things out in February, they were stood in water for quite a long time. So yeah, I've got some Nigella behind me here, which this year has been the first year where I've managed to grow Nigella, which has been great because I love using the seed pods in particular. And then we have some Mallow here, the pink and white variety. This has been really good. Luckily the stems have been usable for bouquet length, but last year the plants were a lot taller, they were up here, whereas this year they're kind of knee height. And then next to that we have Cosmos. They were looking a little bit sparse at the beginning of the year, but they have bulked up a little bit and they haven't really started producing a mega amount of flowers yet, so they are still to come. And then behind me we have the Amaranthus, the Hot Biscuits and the Ushberg varieties. And then next to it I did plant some more Auroch and some Ami. Yeah, and there is some more Auroch there, but the rabbits have been getting at that, so we'll see if it comes to anything. And then we have another little bit of a bare patch here because of rabbit attack and slug attack. There's some corncockle there that's sort of gone over now. That's no good, I need to pull that up. And then I'm sort of going in a random pattern here, but hopefully you're sticking with it. Some asters behind me. So every time I look in the field I'm like, oh, everything's only going to carry on for a few more weeks, and then I look at this side of the bed and there's a lot more to pick here towards the end of the season. So there's lots of asters bulking up there ready to use. And then here behind me we have bee balm. So I've just picked my first stem of bee balm this morning, and there should be quite a lot more to come from that. And then here we have a nice big bed of dill. Picked plenty of that this morning, which has been lovely, and I've been experimenting with some drying of it as well, so we'll see how that goes. And then there's these cornflowers that are just about ready to pull up because they are over now. There's not really much pickable from those. So that is it really for the flower farm tour. I'd love to know what you think of the various different varieties that you have seen in my video today, and there's a few things that I also need to catch you up on, like the shipping container workshop that I mentioned before, and we've actually put our teepee up as well, which still needs a few things doing to it, so I'm going to make that into a dedicated video as we go along. And also I've been experimenting with dried flowers for the first time this year, so I'm really excited about that, but I will put those all into separate videos for you to enjoy. So thanks so much everyone for watching, and I will see you again next time.
When I fall asleep,